I give the glory to God. He gave me the acumen to be able to tell what the market wants. I've had scenarios where people tell me, I want you to come look at a beautiful house I've seen somewhere, and we go to the house and
it is your house.
In this episode, prepare to be captivated as we talk to Architect Wasswa Moses. With a staggering portfolio of over 2,000 property designs across Uganda, Moses has created monumental works like the illustrious US Mall in Kyanja, the majestic Nkumba Mall, and a private residence in Kampala with an automated retracting glass roof. His visionary expertise has transformed entire streets and neighborhoods in Kyanja and Buziga, establishing him as a pivotal force in urban design.
I have to be a step ahead.
Yes.
Sometimes I have to totally migrate from the mainstream idea I was holding on. For instance, the project we did in Nkumba, it had a glass roof above the living room. This particular client wanted a house that's not storied, that has a storied effect inside. One of the secrets I've seen is, if you look, we decided to strike, put down tools. We're not submitting going in council. We did that for 3 months.
Did it work?
It did not work. Nothing changed.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of CEO Insights. On here, we talk to CEOs, corporate leaders, and other key people of influence. If you'd like to be on the show or know someone who should be, please get in touch with us. If you haven't yet subscribed, please consider doing so right now. When you subscribe, you enable us to continue growing, which in turn enables us to continue attracting these intriguing guests. Please remember to leave a comment below and tell us about your experience watching the show. Thank you, and let's get on with the show.
Growing up in Kampala, many people get shocked when they hear Wasswa Moses.
I'm shocked myself already.
And then they hear that I grew up in Kampala. My parents were working in Kampala, and God had gifted me. I was very brilliant. I was doing both sciences and arts very excellently.
Okay.
I was very excellent in the class, and I would lead literally in every subject, because most of the students who would be good probably with arts or sciences, they would have weaknesses in some areas. So I was good in the way that even fine art, which is normally more of talent, I was also very good in fine art. I was a very good fine artist. So with all those subjects that I had special interests or passions in math and fine art. And I always wanted to keep both subjects. And in school, we had the stage where I'd get to around S2, where I'd have to choose between the subjects that you're going to carry on for your career. And somehow fine art and the sciences were conflicting. And I was imagining if there was any profession that would combine both passions, math and fine art. But I didn't know that there was architecture at the time. So I went into S4, I passed, and I thought the only subject that was close to what I wanted was engineering. And even at that time, my older brother was doing electrical engineering, so I didn't know the different types of engineering that were there. And then my brother happened to be at campus and was a roommate, a guy doing architecture. And he knew very well about my passions and everything. So when he found out about architecture, he literally was very excited, mainly because of me. He boarded a bus, came to Kampala and told me, Wasswa, I found a subject that will fit exactly your passions. There's a subject called architecture, and it combines both math and fine art. So the moment he told me, those days, I think as young people, we were more independent. We could go out and do things by ourselves. So I went to the director of studies then and told him, because I had already had a combination of PCM, and told him I want to change my combination from PCM to PEM. PEM is physics, economics, math, stroke art. And asked me, why do you want to change? I told him there's a course I've heard about called architecture, and that's why I want to do, because it combines my passions. And the guy accepted. My combination was changed, and I started pursuing it. And in our school, I was in Chigez High School. It's a school in Kampala. In our school, a few students had tried to apply for architecture, and none of them had become successful. First of all, it was highly graded. At that time, I don't remember if there has been any form of private sponsorship. You would go to Makerere only by government sponsorship, and the grades for architecture were really high. They would only consider math as an essential. So you had to have an A in math, or at worst, I don't think you'd even make it with a B. It's the only one that would be multiplied by, they would multiply the essential by 3, the others by 2. So I failed in architecture, but I did it secretly because it probably people would interpret it for pride and thinking highly of myself and all that. So I failed it in by faith. And yeah, to cut the long story short, results came back and I've been accepted at Makerere for architecture. Architecture had just run for 5 years, about 5 or 7 years. It started at Makerere in 1995 and I enrolled in 2002. So that's how I entered the profession.
Wow. So from S2, you already knew where you were going.
I knew what I wanted.
And you also changed your course in line with what you wanted.
At S4. I knew what I wanted, but I didn't know that there was a course called architecture. I found out about it in S4 when my brother told me. He was already at campus. Yeah. So, and I thank God that I actually ended up here because it's very nice to do a profession that you love.
Transitioning from the education part and your performance, which was good and very commendable, I must add. When we looked at your profile, it shows that you have significant work that you have done in Kyanja. Perhaps you can tell us about that and any other areas where you have had experience working.
Okay. Yeah, that's very true. That I have a number of projects I've done in and around Kyanja, but it's not only Kyanja. Most of the suburbs that are being developed by these real estate developers. Some people call them the big boys and all those names. I've had actual signature across, but also the reason it is felt. I've also had so many students, young architects, technicians go through my office and do their own startups. So one of the challenges I have, their touch is more or less like what I do. One of the areas I think actually I consider an achievement is that when I just came into the field, one of my first clients, that was a major anchor client, was a real estate developer. This is even before these other big boys came in, these Muslim boys, before they came into the market. And he's the one who actually encouraged me to go private and start my own practice. So at that time, they were doing what I would call the conventional Ugandan style of homes, where you have small windows, almost like boxy, straight, hipped roofs. So that was the typical design, what you see when you look outside. Yeah, that's basically what was going on. And then I came in. Of course, I have a very strong artistic background. And then I started doing work for him. But soon after that time, other developers also identified the uniqueness of the work I was doing. One of the things that's really, one of the elements that is like a signature on my work is high ceiling or taller buildings, plenty of light, ventilation, wide openings, wide doors, double height columns. So I started doing work.
I've seen that a lot, yes.
Yeah, double height columns. And so I started doing work. So I was doing work for guys who were at that time building houses in Chwatule, because Chwatli was one of those early areas, Chwatli and earlier, where real estate developers were booming. Real estate was booming. So I started doing work for them, and then I had these guys that were also working under me. I was really grooming, and we're having more or less the same touch. And soon or later, if you type in Google real estate in Uganda or in Kampala, there's a trend of houses that you see with probably like stone claddings and etc. I can proudly say that I'm probably either the main or the real contributor that direction of real estate. Now, it comes to Kyanja. Recently, there's been a trend of putting up apartments for sale, and I give the glory to God. He gave me the acumen to be able to tell what the market wants in terms of space, in terms of the look and the feel, and then affordability of a project, being something that is cost efficient and beautiful and meets the tastes of the market. So for Kyanja, I've really hit it hard. I have particular roads where there's a particular section where the entire road with different
Like a
lines,
whole street.
the whole street. From the bottom, it's like on a hill, up to the top is all purely, both left and right. All the projects I've done and different clients. Same thing has happened before in Buziga. I had an entire street which literally had only.
Do they tell themselves?
No, some of them were. That's the shocking bit. Some of them would come independently from each other. I've had multiple times where a client looks for a recommendation of an architect, and they tell him go to Moses, and then he calls another person. The same person tells him go to Moses, and then after 3 referrals from different people who don't know each other, it's like, yeah, this man should be very good. So
He must be the one.
yeah. So I've had those scenarios. I've had scenarios where people tell me, I want you to come look at a beautiful house I've seen somewhere, and we go to the house and
It is your
it's
house.
my house and done. So it's a very common thing that I've seen.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I've seen.
That must be fulfilling.
Yeah, it's very fulfilling.
Go on.
Yeah. So yeah, I take pride in that. Of course, one of the challenges that you find in real estate is there's a bit of, if there's a style, there's a bit of, I don't know what I'm calling, plagiarism or copying or etc. Copycatting. And there are styles which have moved away from as far back as 2016. Like that trend of houses I was telling you. I've ever since moved away from that style. Like from 2016. But it's still in the market, and then people will say, oh, Moses, and most of them are not my works currently. They are maybe the guys who are working at office, but people still say, oh, we're seeing that style, it's going on, you know. So that challenge of replication.
But isn't that expected though? Because like people will get you and take you to places and they want you to see a house. Because I believe, and we'll get to that, I have a question on, where you get your insight from and all that. But I think it is expected that people will see a house, they will like it, they will want you to copy it, and they will tell you, I want mine to be way better than that one. Right?
So I've had that challenge. I've had a particular person who was telling me about that. Oh, Moses, I think areas where you're not being creative or changing styles. And the biggest challenge is, for instance, I had one particular client who wanted to design a mall. Maybe I should start with the mall story as well. There's a project I did in Nkumba. It's called S&S. It's a shopping mall, Mediterranean style. But one of the things I had identified about malls, people, both tenants and developers, if you're going to design a good mall, you should take on the shoes of the tenant. I myself, I run a retail kind of business. I have a restaurant, fast food. So I know what a tenant would like if he's going to rent out your space in a mall. And the key things that the tenants want is visibility, accessibility. So visibility and accessibility are the major things that tenants want. They want that if I have maybe my shop dealing in maybe food or clothes, you want someone on the street to see your merchandise off the street without any struggle and just walking, if possible, off the ground floor without climbing the stairs. So I did this mall and had that ease of access. You could access it from the ground and the upper ground, and every shop was visible, and then it had a Mediterranean look. Of course, the developers also want beautiful structures, but easy to build and with low maintenance.
Right.
Yeah, less. You can have glass in the building, but most of the areas where you can have paint, where you can have low maintenance, that's what clients want. So when I did it, clients started coming saying, we want exactly.
I think I know this mall, though. Hold on. So it is in Nkumba.
Nkumba.
There is a mall that I know when I'm going to the airport or coming or whatever.
Yeah.
It is at the traffic lights.
Exactly.
When you're going to the airport, it's on the left.
Exactly.
Do you know, I've always claimed that is my mall. When I'm with my friends, I say, that is the mall that I want.
Yeah, exactly that mall. So I've
You
had a
designed this
challenge.
thing?
Yeah, and one did it. And that's back in 2017, 16.
Wow.
Yeah. So the challenge I would have, guys would say, I want exactly something like that. So there's a particular client, I'd even come up with a concept that's different, contemporary, and nice. And the guy, after we had finalized the design, he came with a picture of that mall with his friends, and like, this is what Moses is giving me, and this is what I wanted. They were like, no, he has to change and do something like that. And
wow.
so you find, of course, it will be a different layout, but the same style. Like if you see, just like if someone's putting on Chitenji and another one puts on Chitenji, even if they're different, it will be the same style, and then it may not look very different. Someone may misinterpret it for lack of creativity. So that's one of the challenges I've seen. But then if you look at maybe you mentioned a few malls, UK Mall, Junction Mall, US Mall.
I know those ones.
Yeah, all those ones, they have that.
I particularly like the
trend.
US Mall. That one really, really nice.
Yeah,
really
they
nice.
have all that trend that is going across. Yeah, and I think that's one of the impacts I've had.
There is a school of thought that says that when you're copycatted, that is the highest form of praise, because people have acknowledged that they cannot do anything other than just copy what is coming from you. So to the extent that you can generate new ideas, new designs, right? The people who are copying are always going to be behind you.
That's right.
And you're always going to be at the forefront.
That's right.
Which means the customers will always come to you.
That's right.
Now they can get an architect who will take a picture, and go and replicate that picture exactly. But the idea that you had in 2017 or so, compared to now, the ideas have moved where we're ahead, right? So a person who is copycatting will only stop where you are, where you were as of that building, right? I think it is a positive.
It's positive, but also challenging on my side, because I can't copycat for myself.
Right.
So I have to come up with new ideas and lead the trend. I have to be a step ahead.
Yes.
Sometimes I have to totally migrate from the mainstream idea I was holding on to, which is quite challenging, but doable. So I think even right now we are into a new shift. There's a direction we're taking altogether. Because if you notice, in any form of fashion and design, there's a season for everything, there's time for everything. So if you don't migrate, then you'll stay behind. Yeah.
How do you keep updated with the latest trends?
One of the major elements about our profession is that you're always a student. You're always learning. You have to keep your eyes open, keep looking out, expose yourself, think, dream, draw things, trash them until you break through into another direction. So I keep myself on the edge. I try to resist reproduction of similar things, even if it takes longer. One of the complaints I've had clients having about me is that I take long with my work. And one of the major reasons is because I want to produce something different. So you keep yourself on the edge of, on the push of getting out something that's unique. Of course, you look at what other people have done, expose yourself where possible, travel, see what is being done different. One of the secrets I've seen is if you look into a magazine or in any building, it's not enough to say, oh, this building is beautiful, but being able to answer the question, why is it beautiful? If you can identify that element that makes it different, then you can do it. You can do it differently. So that's mainly the driving force that keeps me going.
Instead of saying there is something about this building,
Yeah.
but I don't know what it is.
If you're able to tell whether it's balance, whether it's symmetry, whether it's a pattern, whether it's a certain approach, if you're able to pick on it and you're able to tell why, whether it's harmony, if you're able to pick out the elements that actually work out, bring the beauty, then you can actually do it or beat it. Yeah, that's it.
You mentioned something about keeping yourself updated, and you mentioned something about travel. What is that exactly? Can you?
Of course, the first thing is exposure. So exposure comes in different ways. We have online, you can read books, you can see magazines, but I think the most impactful exposure is actually traveling and experiencing spaces. Where do you stay when you go to visit a place? Or what kind of hotel, whether it's Airbnb, and what do you go to do? So I've had intentional trips, not so many, where I do architectural tourism, let me say it like that, connect to a real estate developer in a particular neighborhood or place and go and see what these people are doing different. If you can't connect to one, go out physically by yourself and make sure you keep seeing what's being done different. And the other thing, just like we are here, I always go out and look at the work, maybe my own work that has been done or done by other architects. And even if it were in a case that the work is inferior to what you can do, you still learn a lesson. And the lesson is what you should not do. You know? So I've been invited by clients to go and look at particular projects which I think, which I would think are not very nice. But I always go there. Why? Because you learn what you ought not to do, what you ought to do better. And that kind of exposure has built me greatly. You can look at spaces, know what is considered large or small, what could be done better to enhance. There's always something to learn as you keep exposing yourself.
Do you also have trips out of the country?
Yes.
Where?
I've done some trips. Of course, the common one is near Nairobi, Dubai, Turkey, China. Yeah, mainly those ones. But I'm also having South Africa soon, and US also very soon. But in all those trips, even if they are business trips, probably maybe to purchase things, I spare time to go and look at what other developers and architects are doing. Yeah.
You touched on one of your achievements earlier, but I was wondering if you have any other that you can share with us.
Yeah. One of the things I take pride in is mentoring people, inspiring young people in any direction, but in this case, in line of the profession. I think one of the things I've had as an achievement, I've had so many young people, first of all, within our family circle, that have desired to become architects because of myself. I think partly by looking at me. And even in the church where I pray from, basically I have so many circles of guys that have been influenced and they're out there doing things. And then within the office, we always take on interns and people doing apprenticeship. So I've trained a number of students. I think that was groomed from the office that I first worked in. I worked with an architect called Chigundu Robert. And as a graduate architect, one of my responsibilities was to oversee the interns. So in that time when I was there, I still oversaw a lot of interns from within and from abroad. And then when I started out with my own firm, I still open up. Right now, as I talk, I have 5 interns. But also the technicians and building architects that work with me eventually move on. Of course, it's also a challenge. An average architect or graduate architect will do 3-5 years
And then move.
and then they will move. I think they have their own aspirations, so you keep in a training mode in a way. Retention is very hard to keep, but that's one of the things I take pride in. When you meet these guys and they have made it and they are making it and they are doing nice projects, it's a very big.
How do the interns get to know you? Is it word of mouth? Are you collaborating with the universities, or how do they get to know you?
Actually, I think the first thing is I think one of the biggest virtues, the greatest virtues someone can have is not even his professional skills, but where he relates with people. And I think also that's one of the secrets, the secrets behind my natural connection with clients, knowing how to talk to people, how do you treat people when you go wrong, how do you apologize, how do you handle the situation when you delay, how do you speak to the client, interpersonal relationship. In fact, in my practice, I've realized it's more important, way more important than your professional skills or than your capacities. Even if you're very good, but you have poor interpersonal skills, people run to a person who relates with them better. So most of the clients who have dealt with me, I think, find me a good person to train their own children. Some of them have young girls, so they find it a comfortable environment. And also the guys who worked at office invite their friends. They find it a comfortable working environment. My principle is that I would treat people the way I would like them to treat me. I would like people to work in an environment that I would like to work in. Not always threatening people. Oh, I'm going to chase you. Even if someone does something wrong, there are many options of how you can talk to them without having to raise your voice or putting them on tension. So a good working environment draws as many people. In fact, this particular season, I was trying not to have any intakes of interns, but
It's too much.
the parents and the clients really had to talk to me personally too. So I think the business pull factor is the environment, the working environment that these people find, and then the time you give them to train them at whatever level they've come in. I've had particular parents who have, for international schools, it's a requirement that if a child is aspiring to go in any profession, even before going to university, he identifies a professional he can work with. Even that type of trainees, I've had a number of them.
Wow.
Yeah, S4, S6 equivalent. So and they eventually go join universities, and once in a while they give you a call, tell you, Mr. Moses, we're happy. You gave us the right direction, and etc. So it's very satisfying.
It is indeed. If you look back and look at your practice from beginning, when you started the internship program up till now, how many interns would you say roughly have gone through this process? Roughly, it doesn't have to be accurate.
Be in the range of maybe between 50 and 100.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a significant number.
Have you thought of having classes? Can you have classes? Is it allowed technically in the architect profession to have classes, maybe on the evening, maybe weekend, to train more than just the internship on the job or training, but actual classes to teach people, to tell them about the architectural field, what to look out for, or even for real estate developers, to teach them about architecture?
Actually, recently I was thinking about that, but not in line of classes really. There is a bit of a disconnect between school and what is required in the field. This is something I've realized. I'll give you an example. When we're in school, we'd do one project. You start a semester and you're doing one project for a whole semester. And that's great because you internalize different principles of design and all, but it is very misleading in the real world. There's no place where someone has 6 months to wait for one project. And so many architects struggle in the field because of that setting. I think there should be a season during this lifetime of a student where they have multiple, even if they do them to concept level, they have multiple projects, they learn how to pick the pressure. Like myself, I can be having maybe 10, 20 clients who don't know about each other, they don't give a damn about each other, they want their work finished. You have to juggle, find a way of producing it and give it quality time. And it's something you don't get in school. And then there are issues with financial management. It's a lot that goes into practice that is really nothing to do with design. How do you deal with your taxes? How do you keep the company running with all these expenditures and ups and downs? This is something that you not. How do you? There's a bit of human resource management. So recently, in line of your question, I was thinking that if there was any form of training I would offer or expose students to, it would be that extra bit that school is not providing. But I haven't gone into it yet because already the time I have is not enough for the projects I'm handling. Yeah.
So the bridge from the course to the real world, so that they can understand the perception.
Yeah, in fact, most architects struggle because of that gap that is there. There's that gap that's not bridged. There's a business perspective to any profession that even if you're very good as a professional but you don't have that, you will not break through. You stay average or mediocre. You will disappear below the ground. So yeah, that's the bit that if I were to do any form of training, I'll try to now push out or to help out the students to now see the real world.
You mentioned something about having multiple projects. And you also previously mentioned something about some clients thinking that the work is taking too long. Personally, to your point of interpersonal relationship, personally, if I have a project and you tell me the project is going to take 3 weeks, right? Yeah. I don't care because you've told me it will take 3 weeks. To the extent that you deliver it within 3 weeks. If you don't deliver it within 3 weeks, we have a problem, right? So the timeline is relative. I'll give you that, it's relative. But if customers have complained that something has taken long repeatedly, and you have mentioned that the workload can become great, how do you actually manage that? How do you keep floating so that you're not sinking under the weight of these multiple projects?
That question is one question that has it has like many angles or many questions in it. Maybe the first question would be, why would you fail to hit timelines? And it relates back to the very point I'd said. I find one challenge with the design world. It's very hard to predict perfectly when you pull off a design. Many times it's like artwork. You draw something. When it comes to complex structures, there's both layout and external appearance. So sometimes you pull off the layout and the external appearance is not coming out. Recently, I had a project which I even stacked away, and then after I had stacked it away, like the brain regenerated, and I came up now with a good exterior that I wanted. So that's where the big problem is. So how do I juggle that and keep floating? Of course, as an individual, you cannot do much. You have to work with the team. So one of the skills that I found very important again that I would wish many young architects were able to master is the art of being able to sketch. In fact, I find so many students who are aspiring to become architects. I find them misled, especially at secondary school level. You find some of them are doing technical drawing. Technical drawing is very important. I can't underrate it. But fine art is actually more important in a way. And I wish that would go out to as many students as possible. Because fine art is the subject or the skill that helps you to express yourself visually.
True.
And also to easily be creative. Technical drawing is a very important tool, but there are so many computer-aided software that actually does technical drawing. And also, if you become a professional architect, it's not very important for you to draw. There are technicians or what they call draftsmen are supposed to do the drawing. So what I do to juggle the work is that essentially I don't design, I don't do CAD work, I sketch. I sketch the work, I have a number of technicians. You can draw work, you can draw some item, then give it out to a technician. A technician will develop it, then you print, and then you draw over it. It's like editing a letter from a secretary. And by that, you're able to do even 10 projects in one day and have different technicians working. It would be nice if the technician also is talented and is able to enhance the design that you have sketched for him. And then you end up with a much better product in the end.
Do you have brainstorming sessions where, for example, a client came, they want to build a mall, right? And you put this on your whiteboard in the office and tell everyone, look, we have this mall, this is the location, the client wants it to be like this, I need all your ideas, let's brainstorm. Does that happen, or are you the chief idea generator who sketches, gives people to go and develop? How does that work?
When I'm working on a project, I normally have a small team that I work with. It would include myself, of course, the technician, 1 or 2 technicians. And I also have an architect that we work together. As an architect, we're like partners. So when we're doing a project, I normally set up a small team of people who are working on the project. If it's just a residential house, it will be between me and the technician. But even with the technician, I don't suffocate their ideas. I leave them I open up to them to suggest what they think it should be like. And many times when we're done with the concept, I let it out to the office for people to comment. And the interesting thing, some of the people who look at it and comment are not even architects. These are the people in the support staff. I tell them, how does this look like? Yeah, because in the end, beauty is something anyone can
see and relate to.
Yeah, it doesn't need an architect to see beautiful things.
Right.
In fact, I would rather rely on a layman to see beauty than a profession, because a profession may have complicated ways of interpreting things. Layman is seeing it from a layman's angle, and the client's normally is a layman. Yeah. And then when the project is more complex, then I would have it reviewed by my other architect and also the graduate architects. Actually, one of the secrets I have that I use within office is to work with young people. Probably in my office, I'm the oldest guy there. Yeah, young people are more creative, more adventurous. They're out to see the different softwares that are up and running. Yeah, so you throw it out to them, and they give you comments, and that's how we've been handling the bigger projects.
There is usually a concern from clients, and I kind of think you've addressed this question, or the way your office is structured kind of addresses the question, but I would like to hear your thoughts. There is a concern from clients who say, I want something that is unique, I do not want anything that resembles any work that you have done. And I don't even want you to be known to have had anything to do with this work, but I want it to stand out. That uniqueness. So how do you address that?
So I've actually done a lot of projects that are totally unique and outstanding. One of the challenges we actually have that makes some projects not look unique is the client's mindsets. The clients themselves sometimes come with a certain mindset that is maybe rigid, and then you also have challenges with budget, building materials. If I gave you an example, if we're putting on maybe if the main material we have, I've spoken about change, to make clothes is change. Even when there are variation in the designs of the change, a person looking for a distance from a distance will see it's almost like the same thing. When you come in Uganda and you see most of the houses with a red tile or at least red sheets and then dusty colors, you say Uganda almost has almost a similar. If you go to Kenya and see those stone cut stone houses, so there's a monotony that comes from material and a certain prototype style of windows, doors, and everything. But we've had clients who are out to have very unique designs, and those intrigue us to do because that's what we like to do. We've been able to do the projects. One of the challenges I've also seen, beauty and cost normally work hand in hand. Uniqueness and cost work hand in hand. Because if you're doing a house that's a bit different from the normal house, that means you need a bit of more supervision, more specialized or skilled labor to pull it off. There may be details that require maybe extra reinforcement and all that. But we've had those projects done and they stand out, though not so many. Yeah. For instance, the project we did in Mutungo, it had a glass roof above the living room.
Wow.
And on top of the glass, you had a retractable roof. So, if like how you see an open car, an open roof car, if you want the light to come in, natural light, to press a button, then the
Wow.
retractable roof slides away, and then you stay with the glass. You had an infinite pool on the first floor, on the first floor level. The terrain was allowing for that.
A bit hilly.
Yeah, so the water comes from up and then falls in the pool up there. Then you have this dungeon with theaters and everything.
Here?
Here. The house was sold for $2 million.
Wow.
So, yeah, we've done projects like that. We've done a number of projects actually like that. Only that they are for a few, the 1%, like they say. Yeah.
That is nice.
Yeah.
That
But we've also done projects which are a bit unique and beautiful for low costs. But
which was my follow-up question. So the 1% I understand, and it is very clear, but for the person who doesn't have the budget, do you deal with those, or do you have a threshold below which you do not bother, you focus only on?
the person who has no budget can mean two things. No budget in that he has all the money and is not on budget.
Okay.
No budget in that has no money. Yeah. Maybe let's start with the person who's doing a background. Even if you're building an external toilet, let me say, at whatever form of construction, whether it's a boundary wall, you need an architect. A professional architect will, even if, like I was saying, there are limitations when you look from a distance and look at a building the same material. But a professional architect will have a unique touch on whatever he's doing for you. You customize it to your needs. You customize it to your cost. So you need an architect at whatever level you're doing, whether you're doing a residential house, non-storage, or storage, or even a boundary wall. We've done so many boundary walls that if the client's focusing on in that direction, that look quite different. And I've done so many gates, particularly if you find the entire project someone is asking you to design his gate house. So yeah, so they need architects. Now, the person without budget in that he doesn't have money. Myself, I don't look at my profession just as a business 100%. I look at my profession as a gift from God, a gift to humanity, help people to improve their livelihoods, their states of living, their conditions of living. So I've done projects for people who actually don't have the money, such as some border riders,
Really?
guys who come on a very, very small budget, but that's really considered as pro bono work. If I charge them, it will be for printing. I don't do it really like I'm out there doing work for them, but if it's my friend and he wants to build a house, I tell him, no, I can help you do something for you. So I've done for such. And then for spiritual centers like churches, um, that is, of course, Anglican, Pentecostal, Catholic churches, and some mosques even. Yes, I've done work for such projects for pro bono. Yeah, so I take pleasure in that.
When you look back at your Rolodex of projects, I've seen the malls you're talking about. They are really nice. They're intriguing. I've seen some of the houses as well. Very nice as well. If you look yourself, can you think of maybe one or two or maybe even three projects that really stand out in uniqueness? You've just described the one with the retractable roof and all that. That blew me away. I can't believe it. See, I think of Hollywood and all that, right? But do you have others, maybe two or three that you can share with us that are really unique and outstanding?
Yeah, I've done some homes that are unique and outstanding, and one of them that comes to my brain quickly is this particular client who wanted a house that's not storage, that has a storage effect inside. Yeah, so we designed this house in that whereas not storage, it had a double height ceiling, vaulted high ceiling when you come in. And then, of course, it has some a mezzanine floor in the living room. So you go up some steps and come up with an mezzanine floor looking into the living room, chandelier dropping. And when you're outside, of course, the entrance is grand and beautiful. That's one of the things I like about it. It drafts you when you stand in front of it, and yet it's not a storage house. So when you walk in, and then there's also another project that also comes to my mind that we did.
Hold on. So for that one, when you're standing at the front, it looks like double storied.
Yeah.
When you come on the side, it looks like half like
Have
this.
non-storage, yeah. So the living room is the one that goes up through,
Right.
and then when you enter, you have that effect.
Right.
And moreover, most people never go beyond
Of course,
the living
of course.
room and stop. Yeah. So it came out to be a very, very unique design. People would go in the living room, passageway was large, open plan, connect the dining and the kitchen, and then double height with the mezzanine floor up.
Wow.
Get the house not storage. So they would be like, wow, it would stand out. And when you stand in the front, of course, it has those high columns and high ceiling, yeah, and then a dropping chandelier. Then there's another project we also did in the north for a client that wanted both a residential house that works both as a residence and a guest house. In fact, that project is ideal for many people who build houses upcountry because you find people have homes that are actually used only on Christmas and or maybe when there is an emergency, someone has died. So you have this 300, 500 million project that is sunk capital is doing nothing. So for this particular one, why it's unique is because the client wanted every bedroom to have its own unique
Like
view.
theme?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, not theme, yeah, like view, and literally theme. So that if someone is staying over and is not, maybe if a family is there and someone is staying there, they don't. get to interface with the family. They can come in privately, and the family can also be at a different angle. So we did a radio design that faces like probably like 180 degrees curve, but not really curved, but radial. So it keeps every bedroom having its own view, and then the living room in the middle again. A living room was also double height, and then it has a back entry. So you come in from the back of the property, like Bazungu homes, and then the other side is where the view is. I hope you get it. So you come in from this side, and the view is the other side, and every bedroom is looking out to the park area. Wow. Yeah. So these are not very
So it
large.
can be used as a guest house, like you said.
It's
for
being
someone
used as a guest house and also as a home.
Wow.
And I've seen currently there's a trend now starting to come up, because ever since I did that project, I've gotten about 2 or 3 projects that are like that. One in Soro, another one in Ushere. People are opening up to the idea of doing a country house that can be used for Airbnb, because there's also this tourism. It's called I call it touring, how people's lifestyles, how people live in the countryside. They go to the farms and see how they're
ecotourism.
Yes, like ecotourism, culture tourism, something like that. So you have tourists just, if you do your houses
Oh,
somewhere.
I know what you're talking about. They go for immersion and they live with the community. Yes. There is even the baitwa, Okay.
Yeah, so if you do your with Airbnb, if you do your uniques like in a unique manner, you advertise, people travel to experience life, probably northern Uganda or.
I would love that.
Yeah, so that's the trend that's going on. But basically, I was speaking about the unique house that we've done. There are so many houses. Every house that we do has a unique aspect to it. And even my own home, I find it unique in a way. I don't get. I've been living in it for 10 years. I still look at it.
Is it still at the cutting edge, or do you think you need to update something?
I still look at it. I think when I built it, I just started out. I didn't have the same capacity like I have now. Yeah, I believe I can still do something that now reflects myself and my personality and where I am. But still, a house I look at and I'm like, wow, that was good for its time.
Yeah. On the point of cost, you mentioned you have clients who can afford, there are clients who can't afford, and then you have a pro bono section as well, which is very good. For a regular client who is in the middle, okay, how do you calculate costs for architectural work? Most people, most clients, when they're on the site, their engineer will tell them, I've built this before. You don't need to go to an architect. You're wasting money. You're wasting time. In fact, some clients or some people, clients, whatever, some people will have, for example, an acre of land. They come to you and want you to design for a quarter of that acre, and then go and photocopy into the other 3 sections, right? So for a person who is concerned about costs, a person who is trying to see the actual value of paying an architect when I have an engineer on the site who has built the thing several times, or someone who wants to abuse really the service by taking just a small portion and then photocopying it, how do you address this? How do you even identify that a client falls in these categories? And then when you identify them, how do you actually address that?
I'll answer this question from a different angle. I ran a fast food restaurant, and not one, there are 2 actually. So one time I had my friend was a client, and he runs pharmacies. And so we designed for him a mall, and I was wondering how this young man is making a lot of money out of pharmacies. And then I talked to him and asked him, how do you actually pull it off with your pharmacies? He told me, Moses, one of the first things you need to know is branding, how you brand your business. And then he told me, when you're branding your business, let the person who designs the brand, whatever you're coming up with, whether it's a logo and etc., be a different person from the one who fabricates or who does the graphics, like the real graphical work.
Okay.
So the reason I'm telling that story, myself being an artist already, I used to do my own logos, draw them. I wasn't seeing a necessity for getting a specialist in branding, because I thought I'm good to find artists and leave alone getting a separate guy to do. So when he gave me the advice, he gave me a number of a guy who was going to design my logo for the restaurant at that time. I want to upgrade it, but at that time, so the guy I think charged me for the brand work about between 1 to 2 million. That's what I remember. And yeah, I paid it because I was following the footsteps of the other guy. And then he gave me another number for the guy to fabricate it. And the guy charged me 3 million to fabricate the whole thing altogether. So I spent close to about 5 million for just that. But the impact it had made me appreciate professionalism.
Explain the impact.
Yeah, the moment the restaurant had been there for about 5 years, and then after I had put up the new brand and etc., guys started calling me, Moses, you opened up a new place here. They hadn't been noticing it, but now it was boom in their face, and it was having, character to it. And then that made me appreciate professional input. A person who thinks that the engineer can do as good work as an architect has not come to a certain level of appreciation of the professional touch. Like the example I gave you, I'm a fine artist, but I realized the person who's always repeatedly coming up with brands, drawing logos and etc., has something that has rubbed on his brain that I don't have. So the engineer's service may be good, but a person who thinks that the engineer's work can equate to an architect, or an architect's work can equate to an engineer, is just in a state of, I don't want to say ignorance, but
They're here to learn something.
yeah, they had to learn a lot. I came to appreciate that even when you hire an architect, it's even better that you hire an interior designer to do the interior, a person that is specialized at that. And then even when you have both, you need a landscaper to do your landscape. There's a client I have who's a real estate developer. He's a pure literate man, if I say it. He's very literate. And even the way he dresses, like what they call visati. The guy who he's always dressed in untucked shirts and he can barely put 2 words together in English. But one thing that he does that has made him very successful is he does not, what they say, in Uganda, he does not make himself a wiseacre. He hires an architect, looks for the best architect I've worked for him, looks for the best landscaper that he can find, and the products, the houses he puts out do not look like him. Actually, I've had...
So he knows his weakness and he gets the bridge to cover it.
Yes. So he gets professionals to do what? Landscaper, he gets a landscaper. He does not change anything on the design unless he has asked you. And by that, I've had guys who actually get to meet him and start doubting that.
Right.
Yeah, doubting whether he's the real owner of the project. Because see him, can't speak English, he's not putting on, like, his style is not that good. But then when you look at the product that is putting on the market, it's way better than how he looks like, And then, like, is he the real owner of the building? Just because he knows what professionals can do. So, yes, I meet clients like those who do not appreciate the work. I think also on the other hand, there are so many people in the market that claim to be architects and they are not.
Of course.
Like any profession, you always have other people who are masquerading, and they have had a very bad effect to our profession. They cause many clients to think that architectural services are not very crucial to have. But when you get a professional architect, then you always appreciate the impact that they will have on the project. And many times, the architect actually will help you to save money.
Of course.
In very many angles. There are houses you walk in and you see a lot of idle space or a lot of extreme use of maybe material, or you have lots of walls and what leading to nowhere. So in the end, the architect actually saves you the money. You find the money you spent on him is much less than what you'd have wasted if you had not hired one. Yeah.
When it comes to marketing your business, how do you do that?
Yeah, one of the main challenges with our architectural practice, we are not allowed to advertise our work. In fact, it boils down to the extent that even the signage on your maybe company, on the company or in the road etc. office, there's a particular size of font it should not exceed. But this is actually true for most of the professionals, doctors, lawyers.
Yes.
If you find a doctor advertising himself on a billboard, most likely it's himself Uganda. It's a quack. It's a quack thing, and it's for good reasons. Because advertisements sometimes are misleading.
Of course.
Someone will speak out of proportions, and then you go to him to be disappointed. So most of my clients come through referrals. We do sites, and serious clients want to spend serious money. We'll always look for a project you've done before, a reliable client you've worked for, and then he will lead them to you. Yeah.
Can you tell us how you price your projects roughly, an indication of some sort?
Now, there is a professional scale of fees that we're supposed to follow as architects. And normally it's a percentage-based scale that we follow as architects. But sometimes I can look at the scale of projects. If I don't lie to you, there's also price discrimination.
Yes.
You can look at the client, the client, the category of the client, the location of the site.
So you judge a book by the cover.
Yeah, judge a book by the cover. And then someone cannot take you to a plot in Chwenda, or where I'm not saying Chwenda is a bad neighborhood. The plot is costing maybe it's 150, costing maybe 30 million, and then you start talking of a charge of 10, 20 million. You obviously lose the client. So there's that price discrimination, but yet there are also professional guidelines on how to charge clients. So it's normally based on size of the project and the input that you're going to.
So if a client, someone watching right now, has a plot of land, 50 by 100, I think this is like a standard size, 50 by 100, and on their account, they have a specific amount of money. And they come to you and tell you, Moses, this is the plot that I have, and this is the money that I have. I want you to design something that for me that will consume only this amount and nothing more. You can do this?
I've done that before. I think I'm doing a project like that, a person in Kyanja. I'm able to tell roughly how there's an average standard cost per square meter for a building, ranging in certain average finishes. So I'm able to tell the design size that can actually work and fit within the budget of the client. So I normally do that. Actually, I like the design procedure that we follow when we're working with clients. I like meeting the client, talking to him, understanding what he needs, and also understanding if he opens up his budget. Some clients say, we don't have a budget, we don't have... But then I ask him, in your weirdest thoughts, in your extreme thoughts, after you've gotten all the luck and all the money you've gotten, how much do you want to spend? What's the ceiling? And one of the challenges I find that most clients come when they don't even have a clue about the costs of construction. Someone has 20 million in the account and is thinking can do a storage house, with all these swimming pools and all that. So that's why you start from to guide the client and tell them, look, 20 million is a lot of money, yes, but when you're looking for a storage house, it can literally not get you out of foundation. Yeah, so, and that's one of the things I enjoy doing. I want to do work not really for money only. There are clients who have come to me and I tell them, look, I know I can do your design and etc. But based on what you want, I advise you to do otherwise. For instance, someone can tell you, I want to put a mall maybe on a particular point in a certain road, and I will tell him, look, this location you have, whereas you want to do this and this, may not work out the way you're thinking. And then I guide them in the right direction. I'll be more happier losing a job than having a person spending his fortune in the wrong direction.
That is the people relation
Yeah.
that you're talking about.
So recently I had one client who wanted to do a storage house. He already had built a house that was not storage, now wanted to make it storage. Then I made him look into the costs. Tell him, look, if you want to go storage, even for this section alone, you're looking at about 100 million or so. But we can do horizontal extensions and etc. So yeah, I always make sure guys work within the budget ranges that they can afford.
When you look at the industry right now and the type of clients you're getting, the work you're doing, what challenges do you see coming up routinely or that we should be aware of when we're going to talk to architects?
The first challenge is the bureaucratic system. Many times when clients come, the design process goes smoothly. So we go through the design process, schematic design, etc., and everything is good until we get to a level of submission of drawings to the council, especially KCCA. This is something that you cannot hide. They have this whole system of going to fiscal planning first and then building committee, and then each of the teams have to go to the site and check and give comments in different packages, and if you don't follow up the file and push it to lie idle somewhere, now it's online, it doesn't even lie idle on a desk, but somewhere in the cloud, I don't know. So I start so well with many clients until we get into that section that now, and you find, you can't even do proper appointments with anyone to help you. So that's one of the major challenges you find practicing architecture here in Uganda.
Do clients understand that your scope of work is going to stop when you have submitted to KCCA? Or
if you try to do it like that, then you won't have any clients. Like having a surveyor who will only stop at subdividing the land but won't bring out the title. Many clients expect you to follow the approval process and get the approved plan. Actually, the approved plan to many clients is the final deliverable.
of course.
They'll be expecting. So, but what I try to do many times is to prepare the clients. I tell them, look,
Will take
we're
time.
going to do this, but this is what you should expect. Yeah, that's one of the maybe like solution.
Does the Uganda Society of Architects have like regular meetings or periodic meetings where the challenges that you're describing related to running the business, KCCA, these things are discussed and maybe solutions are given?
Yes, actually, we have what they call CPDs, continual professional development, which we attend, and these days they actually accumulate some points when you attend.
Okay.
Somewhere in 2022 or 23, we had this issue up because the system was literally down. We decided to strike, to put down tools. We're not submitting drawings in council. We did that for 3 months.
Did it work?
It did not work. Nothing changed, Nothing changed until we decided to start working again. So, but I think, okay, well, maybe we may not go deep, but I think it is to do with a lot of factors. that are causing that. For instance, if you look at Wakiso district, Wakiso alone has 11, about 11 approving councils. So they have Wakiso district, Wakiso town council, they have Chira, they have Nansana, they have Chengera, they have Kajansi, they have Katavi, they have Entebbe. I've just given you an example. So all those are able to actually take their plans and approve them. KCCA is the only central approving body for Kawempe, Nakawa, Central Division,
Kampala.
Central Division, Kampala, Makindye, and Ruwaga. So you can imagine all those are highly densely developing communities. So only that creates a jam of projects, and then you have very few individuals there. You find like the entire architectural sets of drawings are being reviewed by one person. If the person falls sick, then the whole city is at ransom. So there are so many technicalities up there that probably are beyond our powers as architects. Yeah.
You touched on computer-aided design and how draftsmanship and all that is now done by computers. Now, when we look at the proliferation of artificial intelligence systems, how is this impacting your industry? Are you using these systems, or what do you have to say about AI design?
When it comes to artificial intelligence, my own convictions, my own judgment, I think artificial intelligence has been around for a long while, only that's getting more advanced.
Okay.
For instance, when it comes to computer-aided design, when you're drawing a roof, if you're doing a hipped roof like the ones you see around outside, when you get that point, you just draw around the walls and then click, and then the computer will generate the roof automatically. Yeah. In the past, drawing such a roof would involve a lot of angles and all that. By the time you arrive to it, probably lost your 30 minutes, but now it's just a click away. But currently, there are softwares that have come up, which you have actually to adapt to. That's one of the challenges to find. A man at my age learning new software, and you have to learn it because even if you have technicians, you cannot guide them when you don't know what they're doing.
Of course.
So, but now you find within that software. In the past, you'd only have people, stationary in one position. You have people who are animated; they can move. It feels like a video game altogether. And then I've seen AI tools where you can automatically propose interior options for such an interior that we are in, and to give you different options. But one thing I can tell from the previous AI capacity that has been there, and probably in the future, human beings have a certain thing about them. Even if AI proposes something, understanding what the client wants, and you suit it and you tailor it to the client needs and budget and everything, will still always involve a human being. So we're adapting with it, and I don't think it's a threat. Because again, even using AI at certain levels require a professional person to be able to apply it rightly. So that's why even technicians, trust me, they are still relevant, because using computer aided still needs a technical person to use it so well.
When you look at your career, the different clients that you're facing, situations, challenges, and all that, when you look back, do you have a unique story, circumstance, situation that comes on top of your mind that you can share with us?
Yeah, there's one story that comes to my mind. With relating to the multiple projects and that you've done, when you do a project and submit it to council, there are certain forms you are required to put in. They're called return forms. They are received through KCCA to the Uganda Architect Registration Board. So they show the projects you've done, and okay, their description. So I have a person in office who helps me to do return forms, and there are particular return forms that don't return. And normally there's penalty if you don't return some forms. So one time I'm there, I received a letter from the Architect Association Board. Of course, I was not alone. There were many other architects that were called for not returning forms. So you go before the board and explain why you didn't submit the return forms. And it was my time to come into the board. Now, one of the biggest challenges we have within our professions are architects who don't design but stamp drawings from technicians. So when I came in, I had all this list of projects. These guys were convinced that there's no way I can be doing all those projects. I'm stamping them. So they asked me, Moses, how come you have all these projects and you're not going to return? It means you're stamping. This was a panel of architects, like maybe like 8. So I tell them, no, I don't stamp. All these drawings, I'm the one who has done them. Said, no, you stamp. There's no way you can do all this work and submit it. Yeah. So I said, you prove. I told them, okay, you pick any of them, mention the description or location. I'll tell you the client's name. And they and they tried it, and it was like, wow. I mean, every person they would ask, I would be knowing.
And with the detail of the project
and how
itself.
I did it and where it's located. Ask me, where is this project? I tell them, this place and this place, a residential house.
Wow.
So they were like, how do you do it? So I described to them, I told them, I can actually do much more than what you're seeing there. I can do multiple projects. I sketch and distribute the work, and then I do it like that. Like, wow. So they were all amazed. So that shocked the guys. I walked away without any penalty. Yeah.
Wow.
So that was one of those things that
Prove your case.
I also showed me that I'm doing something around this.
Do you have any personal behaviors or traits or things that you do that keep you grounded or keep you in focus in this field?
Yeah, I think one of the earliest habits that has helped me to keep grounded and going is, first of all, goal setting. It's very important to set long-term and short-term goals, and like if you have a long-term goal for a year, you break it down into months and then break it down into days and if possible into hours. For instance, if you want to build a house by the end of 2024, the finished goal is building a house, and then you break it down into months. Probably in January, you should be looking for land, but January 1st, probably you'll be calling a broker in the neighborhood you want to go to. So I've had that in my instincts. I think God's the one who gave it to me, of focusing on a big goal, and then I break it down into small items that I can achieve. And that has led me a great deal. Even right from school, I found myself, I never had a situation where I was lagging behind on an assignment or being in danger of a retake. Yeah, same thing, same system I use when it comes to the work I do, and also to the goals I want to achieve. Then the second habit I've been using a lot is trying to keep a diary. I kept a diary right from secondary school. And this also, in the diary, there's also an element, like at the end of the diary, is also an element of the goals that I want to achieve. So I have the goals also written at the far end. But also the way I man my diary is writing down what I want to do the day before. The mind is a very interesting tool. When you have your tasks set out, even when you're sleeping, the brain will process out. You can even wake up in the night and you have a solution on how you're going to tackle something tomorrow. And I found that very, very useful and important. So the last and most important is The fear of God and acknowledging God as the source of success.
Well, I have to tell you, this has been a very interesting discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you for accepting our invitation. Thank you for coming, for sparing the time. Clearly, you're very busy, so we don't want to get your clients angry by keeping you any longer. But I want you to know that we appreciate the time that you spared, your knowledge, and I'm sure our viewers have been impacted, and I know I have been impacted. We wish you success. We wish you continued growth. If you have any future unique developments, please don't hesitate to come back and share with us on the show. Okay?
All right. All right. Thank you so much.